Hey loves, this is Ro. Welcome back to my channel. So before we talk about the topic of this video, let's address a couple of housekeeping things and elephants in the room. So first of all, if you are not subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? I'll wait. Make sure you click that subscribe button below so you never miss a video. And also that is a free way that you can help me and show YouTube that my content is, that you guys like it, that they should show it to more people who need my help. And now number two, the second elephant in the room today is that this is not the usual content for my videos. So I help prison wives and family members feel educated, empowered, supported, and loved not only while their loved ones are serving time, but long after they get out of prison. And usually I do some life coaching stuff to help, and I question and answers and life hacks and that kind of stuff. But I'm also a lifestyle channel. So I've gotten some questions about this. Aside from life coaching and helping those loved ones of the incarcerated feel supported and to avoid the loneliness and pain and hardships that they experience while going through it alone, my second passion is to help people with health and wellness and fitness. And a long time ago, I was Miss Fitness New Jersey. So what I'm going to talk about is how I was vegan for 3 years, why I originally decided to go vegan, and then why a couple of months ago I decided that I no longer wanted to be vegan. Before we start, let me explain that I don't know that I was ever 100% vegan. I know that that is a phrase that's kind of mainstream and popular right now, but I think I was more I was more of a plant-based eater versus a vegan, because I did not give up wearing leather, or I never really wore fur. All my fur has always been faux fur. Or faux fur, my Jersey accent, I don't know how to say it, but I never gave up fur. I never gave up leather. I never gave up other animal products. I did it more with ingesting animal proteins because I wanted to do it for health. So the reason I started is because my mother was diagnosed with cancer about 10 years ago. Unfortunately, she just passed. We just buried her, believe it or not, yesterday, and I'm back to making videos today because that's what makes me thrive and that's what helps me to take my mind off of it. But she was diagnosed about 10 years ago with breast cancer, and she had a mastectomy and she had radiation and chemotherapy, and after about a year and a half of surgeries and all kinds of treatment, she went into, oh, my camera was falling. Okay, after about a year and a half of surgery and chemotherapy and radiation and all kinds of treatment, she went back into remission. So her cancer came back about 4 years later in her bones. It moved from her breast. It was in, she had this crazy rare form of cancer where it went into her milk ducts. So it didn't form a lump. So it didn't show up on mammograms. It didn't show up on manual palpitations or doctor palpitations, is that the word? Manual exams for 8 years. They believed she had this cancer in her body, and she had a mammogram 6 months before she actually found a lump. So what happens is this cancer, this very rare form, it's called lobular cancer, is in about only 10 to 15% of breast cancer patients, and it's in the milk duct. So it forms kind of like in this spider web type of way, and then eventually after a certain amount of years, that's when it'll be a lump. It'll form into a lump that you could actually feel. So she found that lump and she went in. And by the time she went in, the doctor said that she had had that cancer in her body for about 8 years prior to finding this lump. And so it was already in 21 lymph nodes. And then when they went in for the mastectomy, they got out 19 of the 21. So it was kind of or at least in her mind, or at least the way she explained it to me, it was always a not if the cancer comes back, it's a when the cancer comes back. So her cancer again came back about 4 years later in her hip bone, and it spread throughout her pelvis, up her spine, and in a little spot on her skull up here. And so she was in tremendous pain. And somebody had sent her an email from this man named Chris Wark. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name, but he suggested giving up animal products in order to prevent and heal cancer. So we did a little bit more research. I thought it was amazing with my background and everything. Like, I am the biggest nutrition nerd in the world. I started researching more. And then we found a man who lived about 2 hours from me. He's in a suburb right outside of Philadelphia, and he owns a raw cafe. So we drove that 2 hours. I remember I think it was a Labor Day weekend that we went down there, and we drove in this horrible, horrible rainstorm. And we got there, and they were just so kind and sweet to us. They did not charge us a penny. He spent 4 hours with us in there, just talking through his reasoning for giving up animal products. And actually, I went on a raw vegan diet for 3 weeks, and at that point it was between September and October, and I could tell you my skin has never looked, I never really had a problem with skin, but I did not have one blemish, and my skin was radiant for those 3 weeks. So I loved it. And the only reason I stopped is because I work out really hard at a CrossFit gym, and I felt like I didn't have enough nutrition. So the first 3 or 4 days of that, I felt like a walking zombie. And then after that, into from mid-week 1 up until week 3, I felt great, but I had to eat a lot of food. It was getting really expensive, and we were going into the winter at that point. So when I stopped, it was mid-October, and that's because I couldn't get warm when I ate. I would freeze all the time, and I think maybe it was a metabolism drop because I was eating so few calories, even though I was eating a ton of food. I mean, you can only eat so much lettuce and broccoli, and I was eating, of course, all kinds of fruit and everything, but you can only eat so much, and there are very few calories in those foods. So I gave that up, but I remained vegan, and I just started cooking. But I did basically fruits and vegetables for a long time, cooked or raw, and then I added later in beans, and I added in tofu for proteins. And so what happened during that time was my mother was the same way. My mother had a very, 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 very small appetite. So sorry, I keep moving my camera around, but I had my phone propped up on a tripod and it kept falling. So we're going the old school way. We're just leaned up against the window. So I apologize for stopping and starting and kind of moving around a little bit. But so I was saying my mother had a very small appetite. So she was still working at the time. So she would only eat a couple of 100 calories a day, and she had no energy, and her immune system was dropping because at this point she decided to go back on chemo, even though they told us at that raw cafe, they said it's one or the other. You either go natural or you go traditional, the traditional medicinal route, but you can't really combine both. So she went back towards the medicinal route, and her doctor told her she needed more protein. So she went that way, but myself and my sisters had already joined this bandwagon, and we felt better, and so we continued with our vegan diet. And like I said, at that point, I was eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, a little bit of rice, and I think that was, and I added tofu in. So for a while, I felt great. For a while, I looked great. I lost weight. Let me start again though. When I first started, for about 3 weeks, I felt extremely bloated. Now, I had gone from bodybuilding and paleo diets for years. Chiseled six-pack, stage body for a while. So when I first started this, my ankles, I retain a lot of water in my legs, and my ankles and my belly were bloated a lot. And then as time progressed, I started losing I still have a decent amount of muscle, but you could see my body fat started going up because I went from eating clean vegan to not being satisfied enough because my workouts still remained extremely intense. I'm a CrossFit athlete, and my diet, I wasn't eating to sustain all of that energy. So I kind of fell off, and I would do a little bit more of a dirty vegan where I was eating breads, and I was eating pizza crust, and I was eating all kinds of vegan treats. They didn't have animal products, but they still had a lot of sugar and a lot of crap in them. So after a while of that, and I used to tell my loved one all the time, he was like, why don't you go back to eating the way that you were eating before? And I said, I can't, because all of the research says that animal products are going to cause disease. And he said, sure, but if you feel bad and you don't have the energy in the gym anymore, and you feel as if your body fat is shooting up, how is that healthier? And he kind of got into my head, but I said, I don't know. And I was like, I could see research is so cherry-picked. I could honestly make arguments, very intelligent, scientifically backed arguments for both sides, because I've read so much research, and I've read the articles that are all about animal protein and paleo and vegan is wrong. And then I've read all of the vegan articles where animal products and animal proteins are what cause cancer. So I could totally see both sides of it, and I was so confused. So I was kind of at that point where I was feeling crappy. I didn't have a lot of energy, and my pant size was going up, and my body fat was, I was feeling very mushy and heavy. So it was around that time when a whole bunch of vegan YouTubers that I followed a lot were not falling off, I don't want to use that phrase, but they were going back to adding some animal proteins back into their diets because of different deficiencies. And I was kind of toying with the idea anyway after this conversation that I had with my loved one. And it was a Saturday morning. And I remember I had gotten up and I had eaten a little bit of, I think, vegan protein. I had a vegan protein shake, just a scoop of it in my coffee. Now, a couple hours later, I'm getting ready, and that's what I was eating for breakfast every day, so it wasn't different than normal. And then I went to go clean out a dresser in my room. I wanted to clean out my dresser, and I wanted to clean out my closet. And so I had to clean out one drawer in my dresser and then take a break and lay down. I was so exhausted. And it was like a 10 or 15 minute break. And it wasn't me being lazy or just a little bit of tired. It was pure, it felt like adrenal fatigue type of exhaustion. And it took me about 2 hours to clean that dresser because it was clean one drawer, rest, clean one drawer, total exhaustion, rest. And from there, I went downstairs in my house and I had eggs in the fridge, and I made eggs right then and there. And I was scared to eat them because I'm thinking, oh, I haven't had this in so long. It's going to taste disgusting. What's it going to do to my stomach? And when I ate those eggs, they tasted like the most delicious thing I've ever eaten in my life. So I don't know if that was the deficiency or whatnot. So slowly I've added eggs, fish, and seafood back into my diet. I still do not want or cannot eat meat. I do want to be able to make sure that all of my vitamin and electrolyte and mineral levels are normal, because for a while I went through a phase where I lost a whole lot of hair, and hair grayed rapidly during that time in the very early part of me becoming vegan. So I want to make sure that my vitamin B12 is up. I've been supplementing with spray under my tongue, but I just want to make sure, and I also want to make sure that I'm not anemic, because I have lipstick on at this point, but I read an article that said you could tell you're anemic if your lips get very light in color, and you can't tell because of what I have on my lips, but my lips have gotten very, very, very light in color. So I do want to get a test where I just make sure that my B12, my D, and all of my other, my iron and anything else is back up to normal. So in case, if I have to, either supplement or supplement with my diet. I don't like medication. I don't really like supplementing with anything other than food, but we'll see. And of course, B12 you can't get anyplace else. If you guys don't know this, you can't get it anyplace else other than red meat. So I have been supplementing that. And for those of us that live in cooler temperatures in the winter, we do need to supplement vitamin D because you typically get it from the sun, and we're inside all winter. So that's that. I had a shoulder injury that it wasn't anything that I did to injure it. It was an overuse injury from pull-ups at the gym. And I was feeling it kind of twinge. It was kind of an overuse thing, and I wouldn't let it rest because I just wanted to get in my pull-ups. And so for about 6 weeks, it was getting worse and worse and worse. And this is the girl that doesn't like to go to the doctor and doesn't like to take medication. So I was being stubborn, and it would not get better, and I would not rest. Within 2 days, so I, again, started eating those eggs on Saturday, and then I had seafood the next day. On Monday, I had a friend at the gym tell me, what have you done differently? You look like you have color back in your face. That was number one. And then number two, I was able to hang from the bar with zero pain in my shoulder. So I don't know if it was inflammation from all of the crap vegan food. I don't know if it was I was lacking something, that my muscles needed to repair. So back with the animal proteins kind of helped repair that again. I don't know what it was. But again, I have not eaten meat. I still try to follow basically a plant-based lifestyle with the addition of some eggs and some seafood and fish. And that's where I feel good right now. And so I want to leave you guys with this. I want to leave you with, do what feels right to you. Don't feel judged. Don't feel like you have to put yourself in a little box of, I am vegan, I am paleo, I am plant-based. You're you. You do you. You figure out what works for you, and you have to listen to your body and what works best for your personal body. And I was at the point where I did not and could not continue on the path that I was continuing on because I felt horrible and I felt like I was making myself sick by being vegan. So, and I'm not saying that vegan diets make you sick. Please don't misconstrue that. What I'm saying is I was doing it incorrectly and I wasn't eating the right way for my body. So I will explore things again and I will alter things and I'll change and maybe I'll go down the plant-based road again, or maybe I'll do plant-based weeks. I'm not sure, but I'll keep you guys posted. But I just wanted to share with you that I was vegan for 3 years and these are the reasons why I stopped, and this is where I am right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Again, I apologize. This isn't my normal usual content, but this video was requested of me from a few people and I share life stuff. So this is, again, a lifestyle channel as well as a prison wife life channel. So again, the best gift that you guys could do for me would be to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like if you like these fitness, nutrition videos as well, because I know a lot of people who watch my content also want to use the time while their loved one's gone to do something to better themselves, to lose weight, to get in shape, to stay healthy so they can live as long as they possibly can and put this behind them and then use that time to live together happily and healthily. So again, thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you beautiful ladies and gentlemen in the next one. Stay strong, love strong. Until the next one, keep smiling.